Hello, I'm Jane Johnson from Disability Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about inclusive recruitment. So I speak from the perspective of a disabled people's organisation, and we know our members are discriminated against when it comes to equitable chances for sustainable employment, and yet it's been unlawful to discriminate against disabled people for over 25 years now. We run a disability information and advice line. We also run the carers advice line. So we're hearing firsthand every day what the issues are for people that are continually flowing through the door. Around 20% of the working age population in the UK are disabled people. And while around 4.4 million are in employment, unfortunately, they're almost twice as likely to be unemployed as non-disabled people. I'm sure many will have seen the story of the disabled politician unable to gain equitable access to the global COP26 summit due to the inaccessibility of the building for her. And this just underlines the barriers faced every day by so many people. But what does an inclusive workforce look like? Well, it should represent the community it serves. A business's success will often depend on its ability to draw on the diverse skills and experience of all the people who work for it. So a diverse workforce is key to every business's success. When we talk of disabled people, that's 1 in 4 of us. We could have sight loss, hearing loss, deaf, have a neurological condition, a learning disability, other long-term health conditions, and the list goes on. And we hear a hidden disability, and this is often the case. So much isn't visible from the outside, but people are likely to require those reasonable adjustments. Now, we really appreciate when you've got a little micro business like that, there's only so much you can do. It could be a little corner shop or something. It doesn't mean you can't still get access right. Often, just to give you an example, boxes piled in front of tills so people can't actually reach the counter, or can't get through an aisle because there's offers hanging off the end of the aisles that they might knock over, that kind of thing. But you know, like I said earlier, attitudes, it's so important. If that business is willing and their staff, the owner, whoever is there, has got a good attitude and that willingness to help, that goes so far. So it's important that they can still have their needs met to ensure work is sustainable for them. But why be an inclusive employer? Well, there's legal, social, ethical, and commercial benefits. But how do you become inclusive? Make it very clear in absolutely everything you do. Everyone in your workforce needs to understand what inclusivity means and be proactively engaged in achieving it. Make sure it's communicated that you are inclusive. Let staff know it's okay to talk about what reasonable adjustments they might require and that it's welcomed. And always, always take a person-centred approach to supporting people. What about your recruitment materials? Are they accessible? Do they say you're an inclusive employer? Do they state you can and will make any reasonable adjustment that's required? Bear in mind that an inclusive employer will attract a wider pool of job applicants too, so there are a lot of benefits. Do people need any adjustments for their interview perhaps? Ask that question. And ensure that it's put in place on the day to give that candidate an equitable chance of a positive experience and, of course, the ability to interview well. Prospective employees need to understand the culture in your company so they can determine if it's a good fit for them too. But what about the workplace itself? Is that inclusive for everyone? There's many things you can address here. But would you believe attitudinal barriers can often be the most prevalent? But if your business has a flight of steps up to it, heavy doors, physical barriers, an A-board or advertising boards outside the door, a lack of room to manoeuvre, poor signage, poor lighting, and is unwelcoming on arrival, or it presents barriers or hazards, such as high reception desk and reflective surfaces, that's not inclusive, and that message will be quickly conveyed. Policies. Policies are really important and should always be developed in consultation with your workforce, and not least your inclusion, equality and diversity policy. It should help everyone to know and understand the business supports and treats everyone fairly. What kind of behaviour is expected of them? About discrimination in the law and what's not acceptable? And what training is available to support inclusive practices? Should also point out any extra activities or services that your workplace offers, perhaps such as staff networks or employee assistant groups or programs. And don't let it just be a dust collector. Make it a live working document that's reviewed regularly and that it shapes real progress. Why not consider empowering and promoting people who embody and champion inclusivity? They'll then become leaders within your company in terms of spreading that message, and it'll act as a great example of the kind of culture you're working to create, where diversity is truly celebrated and valued. There's support available from the government's Access to Work programme, who will carry out a personal assessment in the workplace for an employee on workplace adaptations, whether it's a specialist chair or computer equipment, for example, and with a budget to support that. Why not consider signing up to the government's Disability Confidence Scheme? That will not only work you through best practice approaches, but it will make you stand out as a proactive, inclusive employer. You know, our workforce at Disability Cornwall comprises around 65% of people living with long-term health conditions or a disability, people who have caring responsibilities, or they're parent carers of children with special educational needs or a disability, in addition to all of our board being disabled people. Hand on heart, I can say we have the best, most incredible and dynamic workforce of committed people, and we are truly a progressive organisation. We have a really supportive culture, and the benefits of that are embedded corporate intelligence, a significantly high staff retention rate, and lower than national average sickness levels. Disability confident employers play a leading role in changing attitudes for the better, and you could be one of them. They're changing behaviour and cultures in their own business, networks and communities. They think differently about disability and improve how they attract, recruit and retain disabled employees. Disabled people can work in all sorts of roles. They've got a range of skills, talents and abilities, and businesses employ disabled people because it makes good business sense. Remember also, if you're an inclusive employer, your business and services are going to be more inclusive to prospective customers, so that's a win-win. We all want a successful business. We just need to ensure we are recognising and enabling all human potential to actually achieve that. You know, the spending power of families with at least one disabled person is estimated to be worth $249 billion a year in the UK. But if your business is not inclusive, they're not spending it with you. But what business doesn't want to gain a greater market share of the purple pound? Well, at Disability Cornwall, we've developed a product to support businesses with this. It's called everycustomercounts.co.uk. It just calls on you to evaluate, commit, and change. Businesses just simply take a multi-choice quiz on various aspects of their business and service, and it will provide them with their own personalised accessibility report with guidance on what to change and how. It also provides a rating for your business and requests you create an advert, so people looking for an accessible business can search and find you by location, accessibility features, and business type. And it's applicable for online businesses too. You can continue to make improvements using your report and then take the quiz again to achieve a higher rating should you wish to do so. We're all for endorsing and promoting businesses that are getting accessibility right. We want to see them reap the benefits of that. Disabled people every day are being forced to shop online because of poor access in and around UK town centres, struggling to access shops, cafes, restaurants and everything in between. This can be due to the inaccessibility of the business itself, or because they require essential facilities such as changing rooms or toilets. And they often tell us of attitudinal problems with staff they've dealt with too. But what many businesses seem to overlook is good access makes life easier for everyone. That includes older people, families with small children and pushchairs, people with a temporary impairment such as a broken limb or post-surgery, for example. So when you consider that diversity in your workforce, that'll also help you overcome barriers for your customers. You know, why don't you create a positive culture you can be proud of and reap the benefits of that all round?